Okay, hello everybody. We are going to work on learning how to run a one-way Anova and post-hoc tests in SPSS. For this, you'll want your textbook, the SPSS textbook, access to SPSS on your computer so you can follow along. And I did post this data set that comes right from your textbook in Chapter 8, starting on page 107. Going to page 109. This is based on another cartoon they have in terms of having children eat chili sauce and how long it takes for them to volcanically explode because their mouths are on fire. So at least we're done with zombies. I'm happy about that. And now we're talking about volcanic explosions of children due to eating hot chili sauce. So we have three groups, and here they are. I've entered the data for you. We've got children who are given Poblano chili sauce, 10 children in that group, 10 children given Jalapeno chili sauce, and 10 children given Habanero chili sauce. I can't imagine giving any of these to my children. They would have no time till a volcanic explosion. They like nothing hot and spicy. And here's the time in seconds until a volcanic eruption, I guess, meaning they scream and cry and are very unhappy. So, how do we know what kind of a statistical test we're going to do? Well, we have three groups for our independent variable, right? Poblano, jalapeno, and habanero. And one dependent variable, which is measured on a numeric scale. Since we have three groups, we'll be doing an Anova. If we were only comparing two groups, like Poblano to jalapeno, we would be doing a t-test. The descriptions for running the analyses are on page 109, but let's go ahead. I've got my SPSS lecture right here. And so, as always, we start with our hypotheses, and the hypotheses are always the same for any Anova that has three groups. The null is that mu for group 1 is equal to mu for group 2 is equal to mu for group 3. And the alternative is that the mu is not true, or the, null is not true. And remember, that's because we don't need every single group to be significantly different from each other. Only one group has to be significantly different from at least one other group for there to be an effect. All right, now it's time to run our analyses. So here we are. We're going to analyze, compare means, and we're going all the way to the bottom where it says one-way Anova. So analyze, compare means, one-way Anova. You click here. The dependent variable, or the dependent list, that's your dependent variable. In this case, it's time. We're measuring time before eruption. And the factor, that's your independent variable. And this would be type of chili sauce. Okay. Under post hoc, remember we talked about post hoc tests. And as I said, there are many different kinds. We are doing the LSD, Fisher's least significant difference test. So you just click that one, Fisher's LSD under post hoc, and continue. And then under options, we'd like our descriptive statistics. And we're going to do a means plot, just so you can sort of see what is going on. And hit continue, and then OK. And there it is. Here is our output. We start with our descriptive statistics for time in seconds before the volcanic eruption. Here are three groups, 10 children in each group. 14, 12, and 9 are the means. Here's our ANOVA. We've got 2 and 27 degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom are based on number of groups you have and number of participants. So since we have more participants here, we have 30, instead of the 9 that we had in the lecture that we were talking about. Anyhow, the degrees of freedom change. So 2 and 27. Here's our between group variability, 63. Here's our within group variability, 6.67, our F ratio, and our significance value. And again, we compare that significance value to 0.05 as our alpha level. And then we have our post hoc test, which we will look at. The one thing that your book does is this means plot, and this is just plotting the means. So for Poblano, there were 14 seconds till the volcanic eruption. Habanero, 12 seconds. Jalapeno, sorry, 12 seconds, and Habanero, 9. Much quicker, right? Because that's a much hotter chili. Okay, so we have our data. It took us no time to get. I just posted it in here for you. So here's our statistical analysis, our descriptives and ANOVA, our overall ANOVA. So our statistical and substantive conclusion, we reject the null because our obtained P of 0.01, and you see that here in the ANOVA, 0.01, is less than the critical P of 0.05. And substantively, all we can say from our overall ANOVA is there is a significant effect of the type of chili sauce a child received, Poblano, Jalapeno, or Habanero, and time in seconds before the child has a volcanic eruption. F with 2 and 27 degrees of freedom is 9.50. That's coming right here. 2 and 27 degrees of freedom is 9.50. P is equal to 0.001. And this extra little, that should be there. Yeah, extra parenthesis. Okay. How do we decide if we're going on to look at the post hoc tests? You look at post hoc tests only if you have a significant ANOVA, because what we're saying is we know at least one of these groups is different from one of the other, but we don't know which ones. If this overall ANOVA was not significant, then you stop there and you say, we're done. There's no effect of type of chili sauce on time in seconds before volcanic eruption. But because this is statistically significant, we then move on to our post hoc tests. And here they are. Remember, we've got 3 unique comparisons, even though we have 6 lines, so we only need to look at the 3 that are different. And here we go. So I'm starting with Poblano versus Jalapeno. Poblano versus Jalapeno, that's the first line. There's a 2-second difference, so Poblano's took 2 seconds longer for volcanic eruption than Habanero. And the significance value is 0.095. We're comparing 0.095 to 0.05. Is this less than 0.05? It's not. So we would fail to reject the null because our obtained P of 0.095 is greater than the critical P of 0.05. Substantively, we're saying there is no statistically significant difference in time to eruption in seconds for children given Poblano chili sauce with a mean of 14, standard deviation of 2.58. Remember, that's coming from your descriptives. 14, 2.58. Compared to those given jalapeno chili sauce with a mean of 12 and a standard deviation of 2.58. So Poblano versus jalapeno, no difference in time to eruption. All right, now let's look Poblano versus habanero. So in this case, it takes 5 seconds longer, Poblano to habanero. Or you could look this way, habanero to Poblano takes 5 seconds shorter once they're given the habanero for them to start screaming and crying, right? Because it's a much spicier chili. And here's the significance, 0.000, so less than 0.01, which is significant because it's less than our critical P of 0.05. So we're rejecting the null because our obtained P of less than 0.001 is less than the critical P of 0.05. Children given habanero chili sauce had a significantly quicker time to eruption in seconds, with a mean of 9 and a standard deviation of 2.58, compared to those given poblano chili sauce, with a mean of 14 and a standard deviation of 2.58. And you can decide which way it makes sense to you. Like for me, it made sense to say habanero was sooner in terms of their time to eruption compared to poblano. Or you could have said it took children longer, 5 seconds longer, to erupt given poblano compared to habanero. You see, it's the same thing, it's just a matter of the direction, and you can pick which makes sense to you in terms of writing it up. And then our last comparison is jalapeno versus habanero. So here's jalapeno versus habanero. 3-second difference, and the significance value is 0.015. 0.015 is less than 0.05. So this is another statistically significant comparison. So we're rejecting the null because our obtained p of 0.05 is less than the critical p of, 0.015 is less than the critical p of 0.05. Children given habanero chili sauce had a significantly quicker time to eruption in seconds, with a mean of 9 and a standard deviation of 2.58, compared to those given jalapeno chili sauce, a mean of 12, standard deviation of 2.58. So these are our pairwise comparisons. Looking at this data, what are we saying? That poblano versus jalapeno, no real difference. What's the one that's really spicy? Habanero. And children reacted much sooner given habanero compared to jalapeno, or habanero compared to poblano, but poblano and jalapeno, no real difference. All right, I hope that was helpful. Thank you very much. Good luck with your work this week, and of course, call or email me if you have any questions. Thank you.